what are the matchups for the Gators heading into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament? Well, as we're live streaming this, Colorado State is currently up 37-30 on Maryland at halftime. It's a game that could still go either way. So we decided that we're just going to break down both teams here and give what our outlook on both of those matchups could potentially be. Who should we start with Colorado State since they are currently winning by 7.5?
They're the leader in the clubhouse right now. Let's do it.
All right, let me pull up my notes on Colorado State here. So Colorado State is led by a guard, NBA level player, Nick Clifford, averages 18.9 points per game. This is a Colorado State team that had a pretty tough start to the season, but now they've won. They haven't lost since February 11th, and that loss was at Utah State, a team who was a 10 seed. Yeah, they were a 10 seed, lost in their first round to UCLA. So this is a team that's caught fire. They did win their game by 8 against Memphis, a game where they led a majority of that time. A Memphis team that had won the AAC, a pretty hot team that also hadn't lost since early to mid-February. So Colorado State, they're a team that's looking really, really good right now. And as a 12 seed, making it to the Sweet 16 in a tournament that has lacked some upsets besides maybe Arkansas, which no one really wants to cheer for John Calipari and a 10 seed SEC team being the Cinderella. So having a 12 seed Colorado State going against a 1 seed Florida, that would really be the Cinderella of this tournament that the people would get behind, besides us, of course, because we want to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado State is really like the quintessential team that you kind of don't really want to draw at the mid-major, like the non-big name team you don't want to draw because they're, like you said, they are just red hot in what is a good and especially top heavy mid-major conference in the Mountain West. I mean, I think they've won 12 or 13 games in a row, something like that. So I mean, I think
it would be 12 with a win.
If they win tonight, it's 12?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, team that's been really red hot to end the season. Obviously, that's a little not ideal. I will say this. I think this is the better matchup of the two for the Gators.
I would agree.
We'll get into it. We'll get into Maryland. But looking at the Colorado State side, like, tell me how you feel about it. Because this was kind of when I was looking into Colorado State. This was kind of like where my mind went to. I'm curious if you agree or disagree. This, from a matchup perspective, feels a little bit like the Alabama matchup to me. In the sense that there's a really good guard who can hurt you in a lot of ways and can maybe take over a game, but you don't really worry about teams with great backcourts against us because of how good our backcourt is. You know what I mean?
When I look at possible mid-major matchups for Florida, I looked at Colorado State. The first thing I check is their size. Are they going to be able to physically impose on us? Because most of the teams that beat us is because they physically dominate us early in those games, besides like Missouri and Kentucky, I guess. But like you look at Georgia, Asa Newell had a really good start to that game because he was physically dominant. We almost lost to South Carolina because Colin Murray Boyles was physically dominant for 23 minutes of that game, 27 minutes of that game. So I went here, I looked at Colorado, their top bigs. 6'8" sophomore Jalen Crocker-Johnson, averaging 9.1, 4.3. Good big, only 6'8". If you have that matchup on Micah Hanglaughton or Ruben Chinulu or Alex Condon, we should be able to win that matchup. Then their second big, Rashawn Memba, 6'7", 7.2 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game. These aren't guys that I'm going to worry about being able to physically impose their dominance on us. Our bigs, we should win that matchup pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're able to score inside with their bigs on us, then they were the better team they were better inside that game, plain and simple. Yeah. So then you look at the guards. We've said it all year. Florida probably has the best guard trio in the country. Now, Colorado State has some pretty good guards. We talked about Nick Clifford, possible NBA guy, shoots 38.4% from three. Jalen Lake averages 11.2 points per game, shoots 34.6% from three, and Kyle Evans 10.6 points per game and averages and has a 44.4% from three. Now I don't know what the number is on how many Kyle Evans takes a game, because I feel like I would have heard about him more if I knew he shot 44% from three.
Yeah.
I want to see how many he attempts. I mean, he attempts 2 a game, so he's not putting up a ton of those free throws. Oh wait, no, he puts up 5.3. He's putting up 4.5 3 attempts a game. So he's someone that can get red hot against us, which our other losses, Kentucky, Kobe Bryant went like 6 of 7 or 7 of 10. And Caleb Grill went 6 of 7. So these are guys that statistically have the best chance to beat us.
Yeah, that is the counterpoint there, is that most of the games that Florida's lost this season, or at least you're not even necessarily lost, just it's struggled with, has been because the other team just gets really hot and shoots really well. Which of these two teams is more capable of having a game where they just shoot 60% from the field? Like, probably Colorado State.
Because I think another thing with Colorado State, even their bigs, Jalen Crocker-Johnson shoots 37.8%, and then their other one, Rashad Memba, 30%, and then they have a guard off the bench in Keyshawn Williams, who also shoots 38%.
Yeah.
So if I'm worried about a team going off and having a crazy 15 3-pointer game against us, it would be Colorado State.
Yeah. So I guess my then counterpoint then is like, I mean, because I do think that's concerning. It's just like, which do you weigh more? Because like after watching that game today, I'm just like, give me a team that is not going to be, guarding our guards, being able to guard our guards that physically on the outside. Give me a team that isn't going to limit our ability to score points inside, because we really struggled in that regard today. They dominated the points in the paint, at least unless it flipped in the final minutes, because it was a like 24-14 margin pretty late in the game in the points in the paint. So, is Colorado State capable of doing all that? Like, I don't think so. So to me, the proposition with them is, just can Florida keep this team from getting red hot? I think I like, if a team's only shot at beating Florida is getting red hot, I think I like my chances in that game.
And you even look at Colorado State, they're 54th on defense, which for a mid-major is good, but we've played teams ranked higher and dominated them offensively. Yeah. And really the teams that we've struggled against offensively wise, I mean, UConn that has size and physical guards.
Yeah.
And then we talked about South Carolina with Colin Murray Boyles. Arkansas that has size and athleticism. I don't see that from Colorado State. I don't see them being able to stop us inside or out. Yeah. So offensively, I'm really confident in our matchup against them. And defensively, I mean, there's going to have the only way they beat us, in my opinion, is if they have a lights out game shooting from 3.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of game where if Florida does lose to Colorado State, it would have to be like a 95-92 loss or something like that. You know what I mean?
So then getting into Maryland, I mean, this is a team a lot of people really liked, calling them the Crab 5 after the Michigan Fab 5. I mean, you look at their starting lineup, Derek Queen, 16.2 points per game. Jacoby Gillespie, 14.7 points per game. Rodney Rice, 13.8. Julian Reese, 13.3. And Selton Miguel, 12.0. All 5 starters averaging over 12 points per game. Here's the key here, though, I'm about to point out. Their 6th man, or is he 6th man in minutes? Yes, 6th man. Deshaun. Or no, he's not, but in points.
Yeah.
Tafara
Gapare? I assume Gapare.
3.5 points per game. Deshaun Harris-Smith, who is 6th man, 2.6 points per game. This is a team that gets nothing from their bench. It's all on their starting lineup. Now, this is a good starting lineup in the country. If basketball games were just 15, 20 minutes and you're just playing your starting lineups, Maryland would probably be a top 10 team in the country. Because Derek Queen's going to be a lottery draft pick. Jacoby Gillespie, really good guard. Same with Rodney Rice and Selton Miguel. So this is a team that, I mean, we talked about it earlier when we were saying if we were able to dominate UConn after dominating Norfolk State, that they could get hot early and get us into some trouble and get into a deficit. It probably would be Maryland, where their guards are going to be able to shoot threes. They're big. They have good, strong bigs and Derek Queen and Julian Reese, to where they can get a hot start offensively with a really good starting lineup.
Yeah, like what worries me about this matchup a little bit is just because I think as much as I do like Florida's bigs, I think Florida's bigs have been vulnerable at times against the very, very best bigs they've had to play this year. They've been
besides Janai Broom.
Besides Janai Broom for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah. So that does that worry me against guys, Derek Queen averaging 9.2 boards, Julian Reese averaging 9 8.0 boards. Like, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I do worry that this could be a game where Florida kind of gets out physicaled inside, which is not something that this seems particularly accustomed to. Yeah, George, there you go. I mean,
George, I don't care who we play because we have the better team. It's all about the team, the team, the team. I stole that line from Bo Schembechler. And George, he's promising us that we're going to win the next game. So there it is, guys.
there you go.
We're winning.
You got the George. You got
promised.
the George guarantee.
Yep.
And you know
I'm
who
set.
to blame if they don't. We all know whose fault it is if the Gators don't win that next game. So George, we're all going to be coming back to you next week.
Absolutely. All right, you can. You were saying sorry.
Yeah. No, so I just like I think the bottom line of what I was saying is like you do worry about like I think Maryland is a team that's built to throw Florida off its game more than Colorado State is. But I think it's going to be really hard to do that with the depth issues they have because unlike Florida, there isn't a Thomas Houck who's going to come off the bench and maybe drop 17 and be just an absolute force on defense and on the boards. There's no 7'1" or 7'2" center just coming in as a rebounding machine. You know, you don't have a guy who can maybe be a spot 3 shooter in Urban. And we're talking about that's getting into the deep depth. I mean, you got Aberdeen and like it's hard to imagine that Maryland has what it takes to win this game unless their starting 5 just is incredible and truly all do like 1-for-1 win those battles against their Florida counterparts.
Yeah, what I was saying here, our guards just don't put bigs in foul trouble, which if they were able to do that against Maryland, it would probably be game over for Maryland if they lose out on Derek Queen and Julian Reese. I think it's Reese. I don't know why, but I think it's Reese.
Wait, isn't that? I'm almost positive that's Angel Reese's brother.
Is it? Maybe I'm probably wrong. Baltimore.
Positive. Yeah,
You know what? You're actually right. You're right. I don't know brother. Who is Reese. There's someone named Reese. I can't remember who, but it's just familiar. But one thing I will say here that I really like, looking at Maryland starters and their shooting. Derek Queen 14.3% from 3, and Julian Reese 0% from 3. They cannot. Yep, 0. They have no stretching of the floor outside of their 3 guards. Now, their 3 guards, Jacoby Gillespie 41%, Rodney Rice 37%, and Selton Miguel 37%. So they're really good 3-point shooters, but their bigs cannot shoot it. Like Thomas Houck for us can come in and shoots it at a 35% clip. Condon's at like 30%. The other bigs don't really shoot it, but still, we usually have at least one big on the floor who can shoot. Maryland doesn't. They're not. I mean, they're lucky to get 1 3 from Derek Queen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they don't have the versatility. Like I think it is a much. I think Florida is the much more versatile and deeper team. I really think like if you don't get if you can just be like even on the boards when the Maryland starters are on the court, like if you're just not getting out rebounded when their starters are on the court, like Florida should be fine in this game, honestly.
I could see this game kind of going like the Tennessee game, and that's like maybe
with the championship one.
Yeah, the championship game to where it's pretty close. Florida has a slight edge in the first half. Yeah. And then it's like a 5-point game at half or whatever. Oh, did I leave that up there? Or did you put that? Whoops.
If I did, I didn't mean to.
Okay. To where it's a close game. I would assume we would have a slight lead at half because I do think we are better. And then by the second half, we're able to kind of extend that lead because their depth is just non-existent. So they're going to get wore out. They're going to get tired. We're going to be able to get our bigs in there because they're going to try to feed their bigs. Maryland is. But then by that 30th minute, if you're having a Ruben Chinyolu who's played 15 minutes going against a Derek Queen who's played 30 minutes or 25 minutes, I mean, that's a matchup I really like for Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both of these potential Sweet 16 matchups, I think they portend very different games and different styles of play, but I think both of them are pretty favorable. I mean, I think I'll just put it this way, and maybe we're going to get into predictions, but I think both of these matchups are more favorable for the Gators than UConn was.
Yep, because we talked about it when we were reviewing the game. the thing that made Florida struggle was UConn's size with their guards. When you
Mhm.
look at Colorado State, obviously they don't have the most talented guys. They don't have that athleticism and size like UConn does. I talked about it. UConn has 9 top 100 recruits. And neither does Maryland. As you look at their guards, Jacoby Gillespie was a Belmont transfer. Shout out Will Richard. Rodney Rice was a Virginia Tech transfer. He's 6'4", so he has some size to him, but he doesn't have the size like a Liam McNeely or even what Solo Ball has. And then their other guard is also 6'4", and I'm pretty sure he's also a Kansas State and USF transfer now. So these guys aren't the talented guys that we were playing against UConn. They're not going to be able to just physically impose themselves on our guards like UConn was able to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I think UConn was honestly between the on-court and just the off-court psychology, like pretty uniquely, like one of the worst matchups Florida could have seen before the Elite Eight.
Now, I will say Maryland does have the 6th ranked defense on KenPom.
Okay.
Now, how much of that is against a worse Big Ten than the SEC, where they didn't have to play maybe as many good players and their depth wasn't too big of a concern?
Hey, is the Big Ten still undefeated?
No, Illinois just lost. And
true.
Last night, Wisconsin lost to BYU.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yeah.
It looks like Bama's going to hold on against St. Mary's. At least.
Bama's pulling away. They're up 13 with minute 42.
All right, so you want to get into predictions here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So if we play Colorado State, what's your prediction?
If we play Colorado State, I will say the Gators win it 92-83.
Yeah, my number was also 92 in offense.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was going to be 92-80.
92-80. Okay, so we're pretty similar ballpark there.
I don't know what the spread's going to be. I assume it's going to be 10 plus, like UConn was.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say maybe a backdoor cover from Colorado State if we did that. So I'm going to take 92-80. Maybe we score a little bit because of some free throws or whatever. If we played Maryland, my score projection would be 82-71.
Okay. I'd say like 80-74.
Okay. We're both taking the 82 and 92. Okay. We both like that 2 at the end there.
No, sorry, 80, like 80, 80,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we both have closer matchups against Maryland, lower scoring versus the Colorado State higher scoring matchups, which is pretty indicative of what we just discussed the entire time. I don't think Colorado State's going to be able to guard us. And I think there's going to be a point against Maryland where they're just too tired, and we're probably going to go on a bit of a run there to be able to take a sufficient lead to feel comfortable.
Yeah. I would rather play Colorado State here, but I think either way, it's a matchup I feel pretty good about. And the only way I see Florida really losing against either of those teams is if they come out and play very uncharacteristically outside of today sloppy, I guess.
Yeah. I will say before we wrap this up here, the games on Thursday will either be at 7, 7:30, 10, or 10:30. So I don't know how much that could factor in because the games will be in San Fran. Now, maybe you would rather play Maryland because Colorado State is a lot closer to San Francisco than College. Is it College Park? Where's Maryland at?
Yeah, College Park.
They're also College Park, like Penn State is, right?
Penn State's State College.
State College, okay. But so, yeah, a lot closer for Colorado State than it is for Maryland. Now, Colorado State will just be traveling back from, where are they playing? I think they're actually playing out west right now. Where is that region right now?
That's a great question. I honestly don't know.
I'm double checking. NCAA tournament locations. All right. Of course, that doesn't have it.
Hold on 1 second.
NCAA.com changes everything. Or we'll play it in the background.
Hold on, I got you.
I think they're playing in Denver.
No, they're in Seattle.
They're in Seattle. Okay. So, I mean, And that may explain. I mean, that could be the difference in Colorado State beating Maryland. That's some elevation right there. Far out west, time zones are a big difference between 1 hour, I think, for Colorado State and 2 or 3 for Maryland, right? So,
yeah, it's like 3 time differences versus 1 for Colorado. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the Rams fans travel. I mean, I know Mountain West basketball is a pretty big deal, but I don't know if the Rams, if Colorado State fans travel like that. But I don't know if Maryland fans do either, for that matter. So,
hey, but it could be a difference, and any little thing counts.
homecoming for Todd. Homecoming for Todd, going back to San Francisco. Well, he's not from there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, coached at San Francisco, led to the NCAA tournament, so it is a bit of homecoming for him.
Yeah.